Today, I'll show you how Clophi can create a deploy if not exists policy for an Azure SQL Server. Deploy if not exists policies automatically deploy resources when certain conditions are met. In this example, our policy will create a default database and advanced threat protection resource whenever a SQL Server is created in Azure. These additional resources are specified as draft architectures in Clophi. Clophi gives you the opportunity to create such draft architectures in a matter of minutes. For this policy, we will use the already prepared draft architecture named as SQL DB with advanced threat protection. To create our policy, I navigate to Policy Center. I select Azure SQL Server and choose the policy type as Deploy if not exists policy. I will select the location to trigger the policy by choosing West US, West US 2, and West US 3. I select role definitions needed for the managed identity of the policy to deploy the SQL database and advanced threat protection settings. SQL DB Contributor and SQL Security Manager will be enough. Next, I will configure the resources to be deployed. For that, I select the SQL database with advanced threat protection architecture. I will configure the existence conditions for our database. First, I set an equals condition for family to Gen 5 and another equals condition for tier to general purpose. This means that if a SQL database with these specific properties, Gen 5 family and general purpose tier, already exists within a SQL server, the policy's deployment will not be triggered. The logical operator for triggering this policy is set to all of conditions, which ensures that all specified conditions must be met. I'll keep it set to all of. I hit Confirm Existence condition to save. Next, I need to parameterize the location for our database deployment. Since we've selected multiple regions across the Western US, the deployed SQL server may end up in a different region than the primary West US. To address this, I click Add Parameters and enter the location field with the correct syntax. Clophi will later on parameterize this value and make it possible to fetch the location from parent SQL Server resource. I click Confirm Parameters to save our changes. Now, I hit Confirm Policy to finalize the details. Here, I enter the policy name and description. I will set the logical operator for triggering the policy as all of policy conditions, and I define the policy scope. With everything ready, I click Download Azure Policy. Once the policy is created, Clophi automatically downloads all the necessary policy files. Let's quickly review the downloaded files. First, we open the policy.json file, which defines the Azure policy itself. Next is the deployment file, a PowerShell script ready to deploy the policy, including the creation of a managed identity and assignment of the chosen role definitions. Lastly, there's a README file that guides you on deploying the policy using either PowerShell or Azure CLI for scopes that are different than the ones you specified while creating the policy in Clophi. With Clophi, creating and deploying custom Azure policies has never been easier. Thanks for watching.